Want to learn your target language for free? Then get our language gifts of the month right now, before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Making Movies Conversation Cheat Sheet. With this new cheat sheet, you'll learn words like actor, screenwriter, director, and much more. Download it for free on the inside. Second, the 400 Everyday Phrases for Beginners ebook. This bonus ebook will teach you over 400 words and phrases related to daily activities like waking up, making breakfast, going to work or school, and more. Third, can you talk about fishing in your target language? Learn how to say words like fishing rod, bait, and fishing net with this quick vocab bonus. Fourth, must-know online shopping vocabulary. If you like shopping, then you'll want to be able to talk about it in your target language. With this 1-minute lesson, you'll learn must-know words like sale, add to cart, and much more. Fifth, free language learning audiobooks for anyone who sees this video. If you watch this far, then here's a free bonus. We're giving all of our users free access to our huge library of language learning audiobooks. Save them to your device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get 51% off all basic, premium, and premium plus plans with our special Black Friday deal. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the lesson description below. Download them right now before they expire. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about some differences between the words just and only. I'm going to look at these words in two ways that they are used. I'm going to focus on their adverb use in this lesson. Let's get started. I want to begin by talking about the word just. So I have two meanings here for just. The first meaning for just is one that shares a meaning with only. So we're going to see this is the same kind of sentence pattern, the same usage. So just or only in this way, it emphasizes a small degree or a small amount of something. So when we want to make something seem smaller or perhaps less important, we can use the word just or we can use only to do this. Some examples. I ate just one cookie here. So the point that I want to make smaller, I want to emphasize this one cookie, I use just to show. So not two, not three, one. I want to emphasize the small number there. Second, we had just 3 days for our vacation. So here I want to emphasize 3 days was a small amount of time. So just 3 days shows that the speaker feels it was not a large degree, like it was not a large amount of time for vacation. So we use this for emphasis. If we remove just from the sentence, it remains grammatically correct. I ate one cookie is okay. We had 3 days for our vacation is okay. But using just emphasizes a small degree or a small amount of something. So we'll see this with only as well. Okay, let's take a look at the second use of just for this lesson. We can use just for very recently completed actions or for actions happening in the very near future. When we use just to talk about near future actions, we use it with about to. Also, you may hear some speakers use just with the ing form of a verb. So that means something is happening like now. It's beginning right now. So it's extremely near future. You might hear that. So with about to, that means it has not started yet, but it's going to be very soon. So let's look at some examples. First, I just finished my homework. I just finished my homework. So finished is past tense here. This refers to a very recently completed action. Did you just call me? This is a question. So here, call is in present tense, yes, but we have did, past tense here. Did you call me? Did you just call me means in the very recent past, did you call? So using just shows that. Then these are near future situations. I was just about to go to lunch. I was just about to go to lunch. So here you can use was. You may hear some speakers using I am. I'm just about to go to lunch. Do you want to come? We often use this past tense pattern when something changed our plans. Like I was just about to go to lunch, but this urgent task came up. So sometimes we do that. You can hear both. It kind of depends on the speaker's feeling a little bit. Okay, this one, we're just about to leave. So this uses that present tense I was talking about. We are. We're just about to leave. So that shows that it's an upcoming plan for the very near future. Again, just appears before the verb here in the past tense examples. So keep this in mind because for this lesson, for this content in general, the word order is very important here. So when you're using just with this meaning, with meaning one, to emphasize a small degree, we need to use just before the word it modifies. So here, the emphasis, the word I want to emphasize is one, or three. So just comes before that word. A mistake that many people make, and even native speakers make, is using just before the verb here. I just ate one cookie, or we just had 3 days for our vacation. So they want to emphasize this, but they position just before the verb, and this is incorrect because we use just in this position for this kind of pattern, for a recently finished action. I just ate one cookie. Sounds like I very recently ate one cookie, which is correct. That could be a grammatically correct sentence, yes. But if you want to emphasize a small amount of something, you need to put it before that word that you want to modify. We'll see the same thing with only, actually. So when we're using only, again, it shares this meaning with just for the first meaning here. So we're emphasizing that small degree of something. And the same word order rule applies. We have to use only before the word it modifies. So we can use the same example sentences. I ate only one cookie, or we had only 3 days for our vacation. So again, we can remove only from the sentence, and the sentence remains grammatically correct. We're just emphasizing one, or 3 in this case. And using only shows the speaker feels it was a small amount or a small degree. If we position only somewhere else in the sentence, like I only ate one cookie, or we only had 3 days for our vacation, then it modifies the verb and it changes the sentence. For example, if I said, I only ate one cookie, it means I did not do anything else to that one cookie. So I only ate one cookie. I did not look at the cookie. I did not smell the cookie. I did not bake the cookie. I only ate one cookie. So we're modifying the verb there. Here, it comes before one. So I ate only one cookie. So not 2, not 3, not 4. I ate only one. So keep this in mind. This is a key point that many native speakers have trouble with too. Okay, let's take a look then at the second use. For this lesson, I want to talk about one more common use of the word only, and that is when it's used in conditionals. We use this in conditionals, if sentences, in if questions, to place a restriction on some action. So this is when we want to say that one thing is not possible without another thing. So maybe some of you have studied like if, only if, as long as, and unless, and so on. So this is like the kind of situations that we use these. For example, we can take a long vacation this summer only if we start saving now. So using only if shows that this situation, taking a long vacation this summer, is possible, yes, but there's a condition, there's a restriction. So only if we start saving now means if we do not start saving now, we cannot go on vacation. So we could say, yes, if we start saving now, sure, that would be okay. but this is emphasizing the restriction. This is possible only if we start saving now. We must start saving now. If we do not start saving now, it is not going to be possible. Let's look at one more example. For example, in this case, I was thinking like a mother or a father speaking to their child. So yes, you can go to your friend's party, but only if you finish your homework. So again, we see a condition, like some situation that we're interested in, desiring, going to the friend's party, and then we see the restriction. Only if you finish your homework. Only if you finish your homework can you go to the party. So that means homework must be completed. The child must complete his or her homework. If that is done, the child can go to the party. So this only shows that restriction more clearly than just if. So you need to use only to emphasize that restriction. So we can do this. You might hear some native speakers split the only and the if into like, so they have a lot of distance in the sentence. Sometimes I hear, for example, we can only take a long vacation this summer if we start saving now. So in most cases, that doesn't cause a communication problem, but for the sake of clarity, I would recommend you try to keep your only and if together, so that you can clearly see the conditions and the restrictions. So again, word order does matter here. Put this before the condition. This is the thing that must happen. It must be completed. It must be fulfilled in order for this other thing to happen. So your word order does matter here. So from this lesson, a big point, meaning one for only and just, they are the same. You can use them in the same way. So don't worry about choosing between these two. The thing to worry about is the position of the word in the sentence. Make sure to put it before the word you're modifying. If you would like some more information about these points, specifically the word only, there is a lesson about positioning of the word only in sentences. So please check the YouTube channel for that video. Of course, if you have other questions or other comments, please feel free to let us know in the comment section of this video, or try making some example sentences of your own with these words. Of course, if you liked the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you have not already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about 3 ways to use the word of. This will not cover all uses of the word of, but we'll focus in on 3 very common and very useful ways to use this word. Let's get started. Okay, the first use of I want to talk about is use to show connection or relationship between part or parts and whole. So this means when we want to show that 2 things, 2 or more things, have some kind of relationship, they fit together, or they have some kind of connection, or we want to talk about things within a larger group. So like, for example, pieces of things that are inside a whole of something, we use this meaning of. Let's take a look at some examples. First example, I ate a piece of cake. Here, we're showing parts inside a whole. In this case, we're looking at one part. Here, my part is a piece, and the whole, in this case, is a cake. So when I want to talk about one part, in this case, a piece, I connect the part to the whole with the word of. I ate a piece of cake. I could make this a plural word if I wanted to. I ate pieces of cake. So I'm still showing a relationship between parts and whole with these words. So you'll see of used in this way very commonly with these counter words and uncountable nouns. Let's take a look at the next example sentence. He broke part of my table. He broke part of my table. So again, we see of is connecting, in this case, quite literally, a part to a whole. In this case, my table. My table represents the whole we're talking about here. So he broke part of my table could mean, like, for example, one leg of the table, or a corner of the table, one piece, one portion of the table. So he broke part of my table shows that only one piece was affected. We show part and the relationship to the whole by connecting them with of. He broke part my table is not correct. Part of my table is correct. Okay, let's move on to the next sentence. One of the kids cried. One of the kids cried. Here, we have the kids, referring to a specific group of kids. The part here is one. This means one child, one kid in the group of kids cried. So you'll often see this kind of pattern used when we're talking about people, groups of people, like students or workers, and so on. So one of the kids cried. We could change this to the plural form as well. Two of the kids cried. It shows parts, or a small number, inside a larger group. So in this example sentence, we don't know the total number here, but because the kids in the plural form is used, we know that it refers to a specific group of kids. And we want to talk about one of those kids. We show the relationship between this one kid and the group of kids with of. One of the kids cried. So this is the first way to use of for this lesson. I want to talk about one more important and related use of, which is to show a portion inside something. To show a portion inside something means to talk about more than one of something inside a group, for example. So in these cases, I focused on just one part inside a larger group, but if you want to talk about larger numbers, for example, the majority or the minority, inside a group, we can use of to show that relationship. Let's look at some examples. First, most of the students passed the test. Most of the students passed the test. So here, I'm talking again about people. We see a very similar sentence here. The kids was in my previous example sentence. Here, the students. So I'm talking about a specific group of students. I'm showing, though, most of the students passed the test. So not just one or two or three students passed the test, but most of the students passed the test. So I connect this most with the larger whole. So this could be the students in the class or the students in the school, whatever. I connect this part, even though it's a majority, even though it's most, I connect this with of. Most of the students passed the test. You might also hear the pattern, most students passed the test. That is also okay. If you're including this the, though, you need to include of, because this the students is referring to a specific group. So the, our definite article, is showing us that we're talking about a specific group of students. So this could be most of the students in this class or in my class. Something specific is happening there, so we use the. We connect it with of. If you don't use a specific definite article, for example, most students pass the test. That's okay, but the statement becomes less specific. You're just talking about maybe students across the country, for example. We don't know. It's not so clear there. So if you're using the definite article, make sure to use of to connect it. Okay, let's look at another example. The majority of people at the event were rich. The majority of people at the event were rich. Okay, so here I'm using majority, the
majority, the majority. So majority is another way to say most, the largest number of people, in other words. So majority, for example, could mean like 80% of people. Basically, more than 50% is a majority. So the majority of people at the event were rich. So this is an example sentence where I could choose to use the definite article or not. The majority of the people at the event were rich. That would also be okay because I'm making it very clear in the sentence which people I mean. So people at the event, the specific group of people. So I could say the majority of the people at the event were rich. That's also okay. I've chosen not to include it here because this extra information tells me which people. So the majority of people at the event were rich. Here, my part is this percentage of people, so 50% or more of this group, people at the event, were rich. I show the connection by using of. So this is my part, my portion, and this is my total group, my whole here. Okay, one more example of this. None of us had any idea what to do. None of us had any idea what to do. So here, we're showing zero, none of us. So us, because we're using us, it refers to a group. That means nobody inside our group, no people, zero people inside our group had any idea what to do. So we connect this with none of us. So we wouldn't really say zero of us. It wouldn't sound so natural. We would say none of us. You could also say nobody had any idea what to do. But we're using of here because we're showing a portion, in this case none, and we're showing a whole. So when you want to show this relationship between something inside the whole and the larger group, the larger whole, you connect the two with of. Okay, let's continue on to the second point for this lesson. The second point for this lesson is using of to talk about the materials or parts something is made with, or to talk about an object's contents. So contents means the things inside something else. This is a bit different from what we've talked about over here. Let's look at a few example sentences. First, let's focus on these two. A cup made of silver. A cup made of silver. This use of here is showing us the materials that the cup is made of. So a cup made of silver. Silver is the material, cup is the object. You'll notice too, made is in parentheses. Sometimes native speakers will drop this part when we're talking about the materials or the parts something is made with. A cup of silver. This can sound a little bit more formal, but sometimes we do choose to use made of silver. I like to include it for this lesson just to make it a little bit more clear which kind of we're talking about. So a cup of silver is also okay to use. To me, it sounds a little bit more polite. So this of is showing us a material, silver, for a cup. Let's go on to the next sentence, also a material sentence. Her earrings were made of gold. Her earrings were made of gold. So again, you see our material comes after our connecting word of, and the object it's connecting to is earrings. Her earrings were made of gold. So these two sentences show us how we use of to indicate a material or a part that something can be made with. I want to look at the next two sentences though. These two sentences refer to using of for objects' contents. First example sentence. I'd like a glass of wine, please. I'd like a glass of wine, please. So you'll notice, as we talked about in this part, we have a counter word and an uncountable noun. So wine is an uncountable noun. Glass is a way to count portions of wine, a way to count servings of wine. Here, however, it's referring to the contents of the glass. So I'd like a glass of wine, please, means one glass full of wine. So inside the glass is just wine, a glass of wine. We could say a pint of beer or a cup of juice, for example. Those are all counter words plus uncountable noun connected with of patterns. So here, this part is referring to the counter word. This is the uncountable noun that's completely inside it. We connect the two with of. One more example of this. The box was full of old letters. The box was full of old letters. This one does not use an uncountable noun. Here, we're talking about a box. In this case, this box, the contents of this box was, or were rather, the contents were old letters. Old letters. So we're using of here because this is a good hint word. Full. Full means like 100% of the inside of the box was old letters. So we're showing the contents there with we're connecting the item, the object, to its contents with the word of. We could change this. We could add other things too. The box was full of old letters and pens and pencils. Or the box was full of old pictures. We could change that. We could add other things to this sentence if we want. But we're showing here the contents of the box full of something. So you may see that empty is used in a pattern like this, like the box was, for example, empty of money. Empty of money. So this may seem a little bit strange. Why would you say that? But it means there was no money inside the box. Empty means there's nothing inside. So the box was full of means it's 100% things inside something. Empty means nothing, 0%. So the box was empty of money is correct. We sometimes use that. It sounds a little bit more formal, a little bit more polite. But when you want to talk about the contents of something, in this case a box or perhaps a bag, a purse, you can use of to connect the contents with the object itself. Okay, so with this in mind, let's continue to our last use of for this lesson. Number 3. We use of to show belonging. You see this a lot in organizations, in government situations, companies, schools, and so on. We use it to show belonging, to be a member of something. Let's look at these examples. Here, she's the head of the company. She's the head of the company means she's the top of the company. So, in these patterns, the company is the organization. That's the group. The head means the top or her position, the way in which she belongs to the company. She's the head of the company. We could change this part right here to reflect a different position in the organization. She's a manager in the company. She's a worker in the company. But you'll notice we change of to in situations like that because it's like we're not talking about one specific key figure. We're talking about one person that's kind of like a member of a group. So she's a manager of the company might be used in situations where a person is like a top manager. So this is kind of another key point. We use this of pattern when belonging to talk about like key roles in organizations or key roles for organizations. So she's the head of the company. In contrast, we would not say she's the head in the company. We would not use a pattern like that. She's the head of the company. Let's look at another example here. Have you ever seen the Queen of England? Have you ever seen the Queen of England? Here, England, it's a country, but we think of England as our group, our organization. Queen, then, the Queen, shows this top-level position. So the Queen of England, meaning she is the queen that belongs to England. So this shows her relationship to this larger organization, in this case, a country. So the Queen of England. So we would use this again for like politicians, we would use this for public figures, kings, queens, and so on. But again, they're at this very high level position in their organization. So let's look at one maybe smaller level organization for this last example. We're the leaders of this group. We're the leaders of this group. So this could be a volunteer group in your community, for example. Here, the group is our organization. The leaders, in this case more than one person. The leaders are the top people in the organization. We connect the top people to the organization to which they belong with the word of. We're the leaders of this group. So if we wanted to talk about the members, we could say, we're members of such and such group, yes, but you would use that if you're introducing yourself to someone outside the situation and you kind of want to show perhaps a sense of pride in your belonging. We tend to use in more when we're talking more internally, I feel. So like, I'm a member of such and such group would be okay, but we would probably use for like companies and so on, like a manager in this company. So there are a couple situations where there's a little bit of flexibility in terms of the preposition that's used, but a good rule is that when you're talking about the leader of something, the leader of a group or the leader of an organization, you can use of to show their role. So leader, queen, king, head of company, and use of to connect it to the company name, the organization name, the country name, and so on. If you want to talk about the members of something, if you're talking to someone outside the group, it might be a good idea to use of. I'm a member of such and such group, or I'm a manager in this company. I would prefer personally to use in for talking about company sorts of things. I would probably use of for talking about like group related things. So this is perhaps a small point that's a little bit different for lower level people in organizations. But as I said, a good rule is to show belonging for people at the tops of organizations with of. So I hope that this lesson gave you some good ideas and some good chances to practice these three uses of the word of. As I said, there are many other ways to use this word, but I feel that these are probably some of the most common ways. And perhaps we can talk more about other uses of in another video in the future. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making a sentence with this word, please feel free to do so in the comments section. Of course, if you liked this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you have not already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about when to use apostrophe S and when to use of. Let's get started. First, I want to talk about the situations when we use apostrophe S. So we commonly refer to this as the possessive form. So we attach apostrophe S to some noun or a noun phrase. We use apostrophe S when we're talking about something that belongs to another person. So when I say something that belongs to another person, this can mean an object like a pen or a shirt, or it can mean something about that person's physical appearance. Physical appearance means the way they look, or it can be about their personality. So what kind of personality does that person have? What are their characteristics? So we use apostrophe S when we're referring to these kinds of things relating to people. Let's look at some examples of this. First, this group of examples features apostrophe S, including an object. So, for example, my brother's car, my mom's favorite album, or my friend's keys. We use apostrophe S because this is an object that belongs to a person. If I used of in these sentences, it would sound very unnatural. For example, the car of my brother, or the favorite album of my mom, or the keys of my friend. It sounds very unnatural to use these kinds of patterns. So because we're talking about objects that belong to a person, use the possessive form, this apostrophe S. Let's look at some more examples. These are things, again, objects that belong to another person, in this case, not just my, but another person outside us. For example, your roommate's computer, or his girlfriend's water bottle. So again, we're talking about objects that belong to a person. Even if that person is outside us, unrelated to us, we use apostrophe S to naturally show possession, to naturally show ownership. Finally, down here, let's look at some examples that talk about someone's personality or their characteristics. My friend's personality, or his mother's cleanliness, or his father's beard. This is not a personality point, this is a physical appearance point. But you can see how in all of these example sentences, we continue to use the apostrophe S to show ownership. So this my friend's personality means the personality belonging to my friend. Or his mother's cleanliness. This shows the cleanliness belonging to his mother. This beard here belongs to the speaker's friend's, perhaps, father. So we're using this apostrophe S to show ownership of something. So please make sure to use apostrophe S in situations such as these. Another important point about apostrophe S use is that apostrophe S is commonly used with time periods. So time periods means like days or weeks or months, for example. It can also mean points in time or periods of time in a day. For example, this morning's meeting. Here, morning is my time period, or my point in time in this case. This morning's meeting. This means the meeting that happened this morning, or the meeting that's going to happen this morning. So we can think of this as a meeting belonging to this morning. We use apostrophe S to show this. We do not say the meeting of this morning. It sounds very unnatural. Another example, the year's best music. The year's best music. So here I have this time period, the year, the last year, or this year perhaps. Apostrophe S, best music. So this means the best music belonging to the year. We would not say the best music of the year necessarily. I suppose you could, but in lots of marketing materials, you see this apostrophe S used. It kind of shows a little bit of closeness, that possessive form. Okay, the next one, this evening's menu. This evening's menu. So again, the menu which belongs to this evening. This is one that you might also see used with the of pattern, perhaps. So using the of pattern kind of makes things like this sound a little bit more formal or a little bit more polite. So for example, the menu of this evening might not be so natural, or the menu of the evening might be something you could hear. But the reason that we don't use of as often, perhaps, in situations such as these is because it tends to make the situation sound a little more formal or a little more polite. So when I said in this example sentence, the best music of the year, you might hear that, for example, at an award ceremony, like the best artist of the year or artist of the year. Something like that has a little bit of importance to it. When we want to give more importance to something, we might use the of pattern. So these are two situations where you might see that. We would not do it in the situations I've talked about, or the situations I spoke about earlier when talking about things belonging to people. There are some cases where we might use an of pattern when talking about time periods. So these are maybe a couple of cases where you may see of used. Okay, so we can use this with time periods as well, and it is commonly used with time periods. Let's compare this then to situations where we use of. So, of is used when explaining something that is part of or belongs to something larger. So note, yes, I'm using this belongs to here, but this is for like objects. So not things that belong to people. This is for like perhaps organizations or, as I said, objects. Let's take a look at some examples of this. Here, the leader of the group, or the end of the video, or the top of the mountain. So in each of these situations, we're expressing like a relationship between a part and a whole. In the first example sentence, the group is my whole, and the leader is one part. So we often use of when we're talking about like the top person in an organization or in a group. So this is why we use like leader of the group. Or if you've watched the video about using of on this channel, the Queen of England or the head of the company. Those are expressions we use to talk about the top person in a group. So they are part of a group or an organization. The second example, the end of the video, refers to one part of the video. So if we watch the video, watch the video, watch the video, this part here is the end part of the video. We use of to show that relationship. Finally, the top of the mountain. The top of the mountain. Again, if we imagine a mountain and we imagine one part, we can describe that with of connecting that name, top, to the name of the whole, mountain. The top of the mountain. Of course, there are some cases where we choose to phrase things a little bit differently. For example, the mountaintop is a word. But in these cases, it's more natural to use of than it is to use apostrophe S. So for example, if I said the mountain's top, it wouldn't sound as natural as the top of the mountain. If I said the video's end, it wouldn't sound as natural as the end of the video. The group's leader could be okay because it's related to a person, but you might hear this one a little more often, the leader of the group. Okay, with that in mind, let's look at another way that we use of. We use of when explaining what something is made from. So we use this when talking about materials. So if I want to talk about the material my shirt is made from, I could use of to describe that. Let's look at some examples though. A necklace of gold, a sweater made of wool, shoes made of leather. So here in these examples, I'm talking about materials, gold, wool, and leather. You'll notice that I've got made in parentheses here. We can drop that made because this use of is showing us what something is made from. So not everybody chooses to include made, but you can. So a necklace of gold means a necklace made from gold. A sweater made of wool means a sweater made from wool. So that's another way to say it. Both are fine. You can choose which you prefer. Shoes made of leather. So we're connecting the material to the object with of here. So again, this is not a situation where we would use this possessive form, because actually here, there's no possession happening. the necklace is not possessing gold, or the sweater is not possessing wool. Rather, we're talking about the components, the pieces that work together to create this other thing. So definitely do not use apostrophe S in situations such as this. So I hope that this lesson gives you a good guideline for when to use apostrophe S and when to use of. Remember, apostrophe S is great to use and very natural to use when you're talking about people and things that belong to people. Remember, use of when you're talking about something that is part of something else, or when you're describing the materials that are used to make something. So if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making some sentences with this grammar, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Of course, if you like this lesson, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you have not already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about the differences between have and had. I'm going to look at 3 very common ways that we use these words. Let's get started. Okay, the first way that we use these words is to express ownership. So ownership, this means when we have like an item, there's something that belongs to us, or when we want to talk about like personalities or personal characteristics. When we want to talk about owning that or something belonging to us, we use have, or past tense had, to do that. So to make a basic ownership expression with this verb, we use have plus our noun phrase. So for example, marker is a noun phrase, a marker. So I have a marker is a very simple ownership expression. This is present tense, have. When the subject of the sentence is he, she, or it, we change the verb have to has. She has a marker, he has a marker. So keep in mind the subject of your sentence will change the way that you have to say the verb or spell the verb. So we follow it with a noun phrase. When we want to make a past tense statement, we change have to had. This is true if the subject is she, he, it, anything. We use had for past tense ownership statements. So I had a red marker. Now I have a blue marker, for example. I had in the past, now I have present tense. So we use had and have to express past and present ownership of things and characteristics. Some more examples. First, I have a cookie. Have, present tense. This shows us right now, the speaker has a cookie. The speaker has a cookie. I have a cookie. Another one, past tense here. I had a dog when I was a kid. So here I had a dog when I was a kid. This is my point in time, or my period of time. This was the time in which I had a dog, past tense. Here's some examples where the subject is he and she. He has a lot of money. He has a lot of money. We use has because the subject is he. He has a lot of money. Finally, she has a lot of responsibilities. She has a lot of responsibilities. Again, the subject is she, so we use has instead of have. This is only for the present tense. She has a lot of responsibilities. So this is the first use of have and had to express ownership. Let's move on to point number 2 for this lesson. Point number 2, we use have and had to make the perfect tenses. So we use perfect tense. We can use present perfect tense, past perfect tense, future perfect tense to talk about actions that started in the past and continued until a certain point in time. So when we make present perfect tense sentences, we use have, or again has. It follows the same rule as over here. If the subject is she, he, or it, we use has. So we use have or has, but we follow it with the past participle form of a verb. This is a special form of each verb that we attach to this verb, have or has. So this is to make the present perfect tense. When we make the past perfect tense, however, we use had plus the past participle form of the verb. So again, there's only one word here. There's no change if the subject changes. So past perfect, had, present perfect, have or has. For more information on these tenses and what they mean, please check our website, EnglishClass101.com, or please do a quick search on our YouTube channel for present perfect tense or past perfect tense videos for more information about this grammar point. Let's look at some examples, though, of how we use these to make our statements in perfect tenses. First, I have studied English for 3 years. I have studied English for 3 years. So, have is used here before studied. Studied is the past participle form of the verb study. I have studied English, in this case, for 3 years. The speaker includes a length of time. I have studied English for 3 years. Let's change the subject of the sentence. She has been waiting for an hour. She has been waiting for an hour. So here, we're focusing on a continuing action. But we change have to has because the subject is she. We use been because been is the past participle form of the verb be. So not she has be, she has been waiting. She has been waiting. So this is, again, a present perfect tense expression. Here we're using it with the continuous form or the progressive form. Now, let's take a look at some past perfect examples. I had just arrived home when the phone rang. I had just arrived home when the phone rang. Here you'll notice I included just. So I want to show something happened very quickly after this thing. Or rather, I want to show that something happened very quickly, like back to back. So one thing happened and then another thing happened. I had just arrived home when the phone rang. So had is used here because this is a past situation. So I just arrived home, I had just arrived home when the phone rang. So in the moment after that, very quickly. So I use just before the past participle verb arrived. Arrived. So arrived is the past participle form of the verb arrive. I can use just to modify that. So another example, we had been working all night when we got the news that the project was canceled. We had been working all night when we got the news that the project was canceled. Again, had comes before my past participle verb, be becomes been. And I'm using another progressive example, an ing example. You'll also notice that with past perfect, we tend to use this when we're telling stories in a sequence. So past perfect thing, the thing that happened far, far, far in the past, we use past perfect tense. And then we use simple past tense. We see this in these two examples. This happened first, had just arrived home, far in the past, when the phone rang. So this is my simple past tense statement. Just arrived home, phone rang. So we understand the sequence of events there by using past perfect, simple past. Same thing here. We had been working all night, continuing to work. We've been working all night when we got the news. We got, simple past tense, we got the news that the project was canceled. So we use this, these two past forms together to tell stories in sequence. Okay, so again, if you want more information about these grammar points, please do a search of the YouTube channel or the website. Okay, so let's move on to our third use of these words for this lesson. We use have and had to talk about responsibilities. This is a very common use of these words. When we talk about present tense responsibilities, we use have or has, again, for he, she, and its subjects, plus to, plus a present tense verb. Of course, we can change this with use of don't. We can make it a negative, don't have to, doesn't have to, and so on. But making a positive sentence for the purposes of this lesson is done in this way. Same thing with had. When we're making a past tense responsibility expression, we use had plus to plus the present tense verb. So this had is the only change. Changes from have in present tense. So let's look at some examples. First, I have to go to the bank. I have to go to the bank. Have to plus present tense verb. Go is my present tense verb. I have to go to the bank. Responsibility statement. If my subject is he, she, or it, I need to change my verb to has. She has to leave the office. Leave is my simple present tense verb. I've connected it with to. She has to leave the office. Past tense examples. We had to buy new shoes. We had to buy new shoes. So we is the subject. Had shows it's a past tense expression. To connects to buy, my present tense verb. We had to buy new shoes. Finally, he had to find a new job. So again, my subject is he, but there's no change to the verb in past tense. He had to find a new job. So had to, present tense verb is find. He had to find a new job. So we can use have and had and has to talk about explaining our responsibilities. So these are 3 ways that you can use have and had and has as well. So I hope that they help you in understanding how these words are used. Again, if you want some more information about these grammar points, please make sure to search our YouTube channel or check out our website, EnglishClass101.com. Of course, if you liked this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you have not already. Also, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making an example sentence, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Thank you very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Okay, let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Andrea Oliveira. Hello, Andrea. Andrea says, hi Alicia, could you help me with the differences between before and until in these phrases? First, don't say you hate it until or before you try a bite of it. You're not going anywhere until or before you put your things away. Enjoy your meal until or before it gets cold. Thank you very much. Okay, nice question. Yeah, mostly the differences between until and before in these example sentences are about nuance. You could use either in these sentences. I want to talk about the first 2 example phrases, or the first 2 example sentences first. I want to talk about these 2 together because they have a negative at the beginning of the sentence. In the first example sentence, we had don't say you hate it until or before you try a bite of it. So until is used to mark like a key moment or kind of a deadline or a point at which something changes. Before doesn't really have this feeling. So don't say you hate it until you try a bite of it sounds more natural in this case because it's like saying taking a bite of this thing, this food probably, is kind of the key point or the moment for change, the moment at which the person makes a decision. So until sounds more natural here than before. The same is true for the second example sentence. You're not going anywhere until or before you put your things away. Again, this sounds more natural with until because we have kind of a key moment for change, yeah? So the person needs to put their things away. That's why until sounds a little bit more natural than before here. This is not the case, however, with the final example that you included, which was enjoy your meal until or before it gets cold. The reason that until sounds unnatural in this example is because we don't really have a specific point, like a key moment or a kind of deadline or a time at which something's going to change. We have this cold, like the meal is going to get cold situation we know is going to happen, but there's not a key point. Also, if you use until in this sentence, it sounds like enjoy your meal and continue enjoying your meal, but at the point your meal becomes cold, stop enjoying your meal. This is really strange, right? So
enjoy your meal before it gets cold sounds a lot more natural here because it's kind of like you're encouraging the other person to eat while the meal is warm and therefore it's most delicious. So that's the difference between until and before in these example sentences, and you can kind of carry that, you can kind of remember that when you need to choose in the future. So until we tend to use more with that kind of deadline or key change point. So you can kind of remember this when you need to make a decision between these two in the future. We tend to use until a lot when we have some kind of change point coming in the future we can refer to. It's easy to spot, or it's easy to understand that change point. And we don't really always do that with before. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks for an interesting question. Okay, let's get to your next question. Next question comes from Andre. Hello, Andre. Andre says, ciao, Alicia, what's up? Hey, my question, which is correct? He don't or he doesn't? I've noticed a lot of usage of the form he don't in American movies. Yeah, nice question. So depending on the style of English used in the movie you're watching, you might see a grammar pattern like this. So you might see this in a few different styles of speaking. The speaker might use this kind of speaking to sound rough or to sound cool. You might also hear it used in certain communities or in certain regions of the USA. There are many different reasons a speaker might use he don't instead of he doesn't. So it depends a lot on the style of the movie, on the people that are in the movie or the characters that are portrayed, the people that are actually in the movie. So there are a lot of different factors to consider. Yes, we learn he doesn't in typical textbook English, but depending on the community or the region or the background of the speaker, it might be common to use he don't and other similar grammar patterns. So this is the reason you might see he don't in certain American movies or in certain TV shows even. Sometimes it's because the character wants to sound rougher or cooler or something. Other times it's because that's how the character naturally speaks. That's the type of English or the style of English they grew up using. So over time, as you watch media, you'll kind of get to understand a little bit better which is which. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Next question comes from Jane Advincula. Hi, Jane. I hope I said your name right. Jane says, hi, Alicia. I'd like to ask about how and when to use later and earlier. For example, in phrases like 1 year later and earlier in 1992. Okay, yeah, nice question. So of course we can use earlier and later to talk about different times of the day. Like, let's do that later. So meaning not now, but later. But these words are also very, very useful when we're telling stories, especially about the past. When we want to talk about a point in time in the past, and we want to talk about something that happened before that, or something that happened after that, we can use earlier and later to do that. Let's look at earlier first. So, for example, he finished school in 2000. We want to talk about the year 2000 in this case, a past tense point. We could say something like, 1 year earlier, he had started looking for a job. So that means 1 year before this key point in time we already introduced. So earlier kind of refers back to the previously introduced point in time. This sounds quite natural. On the other hand, if we want to talk about something that happened after that key point in time, we would use later to do that. So, for example, he finished school in 2000. 1 year later, he got a job. So we use the same point in time, 2000, but we use later, so 1 year later. So we can use earlier and later to refer to a previously introduced time period. This can help us to tell stories very naturally. Yes, we can also say like the year before that or the year after that. These are just different ways to express the same idea. Of course, you can also use earlier and later to talk about smaller time periods and bigger time periods. Earlier, I said, let's do it later, for example. So you can use earlier and later to refer to a few minutes time, as I just did in this video. You can use it to talk about a day, to talk about a week, a month, a year, whatever. When you want to talk about something that happened before a point in time, use earlier. And when you want to talk about something that happened after, you can use later. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Kuong. Hi, Kuong. Kuong says, if my mobile phone has a low battery, what should I say? Which sentences are correct? My mobile phone's battery is low. My mobile phone is running out of power. Are there any ways that native speakers say this that sound natural? Does this sentence sound natural? My mobile phone's battery is out of power. My mobile phone's battery power is 5%. What should I ask to find out the power percentage? Can I say this? What is the percentage of your phone's battery's power, volume, capacity, and so on? Great questions. So first, your first example sentence is perfect. So my mobile phone's battery is low, or my mobile phone is running out of power. Both of these are great. The only thing is we tend to make this expression very short because this is a very common situation. For example, mobile phone is long. We usually say in American English, my phone. So here are some really natural expressions you can use to describe your phone's battery situation. You can say, my phone is almost dead, or my phone is about to die. To express the precise percentage of power on your phone, you can say, my phone is at 5%. Or you might even hear some people say, I'm at 5%, or I'm about to die. Sometimes people say I'm when they mean their phone as well. If you want to ask for a charger, you can say, do you have a charger? Or can I borrow your charger? Or in a group situation, does anyone have a charger? So just keep in mind, make this expression short. My phone's about to die is very, very common. That's probably the one that I use most. What do you say when your phone's gonna die?
I'm running out of battery.
I'm running out of battery, yeah. I'm running out of battery, or I'm running out of power. There are many different ways to express this.
Running out of shoes?
Running out of shoes?
Shoes.
Oh, juice. Running out of juice. Yeah, juice also means power. So it depends a little bit on the personality of the person you're talking to. But a very straightforward one is my phone's about to die, or my battery is running low. So there's a big list of expressions that you can use. Thanks for a good question. I hope that that helps you. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Next question comes from Taufik Saeed. Hi, Taufik. I hope I said your name right. Taufik says, his sports car flew past us on the highway. What is the meaning of past in this example? Please explain with some examples. Thank you. Okay, sure. This past is a preposition. So past has a few different uses. In this sentence, we're seeing it as a preposition. As a preposition here, it means beyond, or to come close to something and then move beyond that. So some other examples of this use of past are, for example, I walked past your house yesterday, or my dog ran past me into the street. So in all of these situations, it's like something moves close to something else and then continues beyond that thing. So in your example, the car flew past us means the car was on a course, came very close to us, and then continued on the course beyond us. The same thing with my first example. I walked past your house yesterday. That means I walked like on a course near your house, and then I continued beyond it. And in the final example with the dog, it sounds like the dog ran very close to me and then continued beyond me. So when we use past as a preposition like this is what it means. I hope that this helps you. Thanks for the question. All right, that is everything that I have for this week. Thanks very much for your awesome questions. If you have questions for me, remember you can send them to me at englishclass101.com/ask-Alicia. You'll also find a link for this in the description, so check it out. Of course, if you want to practice your English with us a little bit more, check us out at englishclass101.com for some other resources to help you with your English studies. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already for more videos like this. Thanks very much for watching this episode of Ask Alicia, and I will see you again next time. Bye! Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Okay, let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Eugene. Hi Eugene. Eugene says, hey Alicia, is there a difference between turn off the music and turn the music off? I always run into this problem when I use phrasal verbs. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for this question. No, there is no difference between turn off the music and turn the music off. They mean the same thing. Turn off is one of those phrasal verbs that can be split. So when I say split, I mean that when you use this phrasal verb, you can put the object of the phrasal verb at the end, or you can put it between the two words. So phrasal verbs that you can do this with are called separable phrasal verbs. So that means you can put the object of the verb after it or
or in between the two words. There are some phrasal verbs that you cannot do this with. These are called inseparable phrasal verbs. So turn off is one example of a separable phrasal verb. You can split it and choose whichever form you like. Thanks. I hope that answers your question. Okay, on to the next question. Next question comes from Saeed Al-Hayrat. I hope I said that right. Hi, Saeed. Saeed says, hi, Alicia. I'm from Jordan. I want to ask you about the difference between devalue and downplay. Many thanks. Okay, yeah, nice question. So to devalue something means to take value away from something. So devalue consists of that prefix D, which means off or away, and then value, right? Referring to how much something costs or how much we think something is worth. So to devalue something means to remove value from something. Some examples. A poor quality product can devalue your brand. My home was devalued due to damage from a natural disaster. Okay, so now let's talk about downplay. To downplay something means to minimize or decrease the seriousness of something. So we use downplay when we're trying to make something not seem like as big of a deal as it actually is. Sometimes we want to make people feel more calm, or sometimes we're trying to hide information, but downplay means to try to reduce someone's perception or someone's idea of how serious a situation is. Some examples. We should not downplay the seriousness of this deadly disease. My manager downplayed my concerns at the meeting. I was angry. Okay, so I hope this helps you understand the differences between devalue and downplay. Thanks very much for the question. All right, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Sergey. Hi, Sergey. Sergey says, hi, Alicia. What is the difference between check up and check out? Thank you in advance. Okay, there are a few different ways to use these phrasal verbs. Generally, check up means to request or look for an update from someone. So you might say you need to check up on someone. We typically use that when we're talking about a person. For example, can you check up on your sister? I haven't heard from her recently. That means please go get an update from your sister, or please get some information about the current status of your sister. So we tend to use check up on something when we want to talk about another person. You might also hear like check up on a specific place, like go check up on the barn, or like go check up on the animals outside, to mean you want to know the current status or the current condition. You might also see check up used with no space between check and up to talk about visiting a doctor to check your current condition. So in these cases, we say something like, I need to go to the doctor for a checkup. Or you should really get a checkup. When's the last time you visited the doctor? Please note that this use of checkup is as a noun. In your original question, you used check up as a phrasal verb. So both are possible. So just please note that the space does make a difference. Check up with a space refers to the phrasal verb. Check up with no space refers to the noun, and that's the one that refers to going to a doctor to review your current condition. So let's compare this then to check out. Check out. Generally, check out means to finish your transaction and leave a place. Most commonly, we use check out when we're at the supermarket or at a hotel. So you might say something like, please check out at the register after you finish shopping. Or I checked out of the hotel at 10 a.m. So these uses of check out refer to finishing some kind of business or service transaction and leaving that location. You might also hear check out used to mean go quickly look at something, like let's check out that new restaurant, or oh, I want to check out that event later. It means to take a quick look at something, generally to see what's happening. Finally, you might also hear check out used sometimes to mean looking at a person with romantic interest, like you're physically attracted to that person. For example, that guy just checked you out. Or, wow, check out that girl. She's so pretty. Something like that might be used to indicate that you find someone physically attractive. But generally, check out is used in the first two senses, most commonly in everyday conversation. To finish a transaction and leave a place, or to mean to take take a quick look at something. So I hope this helps you understand the differences between check up and check out. Thanks for the question. Okay, let's go to your next question. Next question comes from Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Sarah says, hi, Alicia. What is the difference between knowledge and acknowledge? When can I use them? Good question. Okay, so knowledge and acknowledge, I know they have that same knowledge inside them, but they're quite different. Knowledge is a noun. Acknowledge is a verb. So knowledge refers to the things that we gain, the information that we learn from books, from experience, and so on. So we use knowledge to operate in the world, to live our lives, right? So for example, it's important to gain a lot of knowledge as a child, or make sure that you review all of the knowledge on this subject. So knowledge is a noun that refers to the things that you know or the things that are known in the world. Acknowledge, on the other hand, like I said, is a verb. It means to recognize something. For example, the company acknowledged his hard work, or she acknowledged it would take a few weeks to reach her goal. So think of acknowledge as meaning recognize. It's kind of like a more formal way of saying recognize. So again, yes, although knowledge and acknowledge do seem very similar when you see them written, they do have quite different meanings and different parts of speech. So I hope that this helps answer your question. Thanks very much. Okay, next question comes from Masume Tabrizi. Hi, Masume. I hope I said your name right. Masume says, when we tell a story, can we use passive? Yeah, of course you can use passive when you tell stories. I think that some people have learned at some point that passive is maybe bad, or passive sounds weak, or maybe passive should be avoided and we should focus on using active. But actually, passive is an important way, it is an important tool, a grammar tool, to explaining stories and sharing information. So yes, there are some times when it's a good idea to use passive. For example, you should use passive when the person who did the action is not known or it's not important. So the classic example of this is if someone steals a bag and we don't know who it is, we can say, my bag was stolen. So that's a great example of using passive when you don't know the person who did the action. You can also use passive when it's not important to refer to the person who completed the action. That's fine as well. You can use passive when you need to hide information, or when you need to keep something secret. So there are lots of different ways to use passive to tell a story, and we do this all the time in our everyday life. Another example might be if a glass of water is knocked over in my house, and I don't know who did it, I don't know how it happened, I might say, my glass of water got knocked over, or my glass of water was knocked over. So there are lots of different situations where it's very natural to use passive. If you learn that using passive is bad or something like that, try to forget it. Passive has a time and a place. There are definitely times when it's a great idea to use passive. So yes, please include it in your stories when it feels right. I hope that this answers your question. All right, that is everything that I have for this week. Thank you very much for sending me your awesome questions. I really appreciate it. Of course, if you want to send me a question, you can do so at englishclass101.com/ask-Alicia. You can check a link in the description to find it there as well. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thanks very much for watching this episode of Ask Alicia, and I will see you again next time. Bye! Restaurant. 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 A restaurant is a place you can go to have someone else cook food and serve it to you. It's often a place we go for a treat or a special occasion. That's a good restaurant. That's a good restaurant. That's a good restaurant. Cafe. 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 A cafe is another place you can go to have someone else cook for you and prepare drinks for you, but a cafe tends to be a little bit smaller than a restaurant in size, and the menu is also a little smaller. Usually at cafes you can find tea, coffee, and other drinks, in addition to very light food like cakes or donuts. Where is the closest cafe? Where's the closest cafe? Where is the closest cafe? Coffee shop. Coffee shop. Coffee shop. Sometimes we use coffee shop and cafe to mean the same thing, but a coffee shop specifically is a shop that serves just coffee. So there are no other drinks on the menu, just coffee. In terms of food, you might see a cookie or something else small like that. Shall we stop by a coffee shop? Shall we stop by a coffee shop? Shall we stop by a coffee shop? Bar. 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 A bar is a place you can visit to have alcoholic drinks. Bars usually also have non-alcoholic drinks available too. In most cases, bars are available for adults to enter only. Kids are not allowed. My favorite bar was closed. My favorite bar was closed. My favorite bar was closed. Furniture. 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 Furniture refers to all of the objects we have in our house that we use for sitting, for laying, and for other kinds of decoration and storage. For example, a couch or a bed or a shelf. These are all examples of furniture. We'll load the furniture into the truck. We'll load the furniture into the truck. We'll load the furniture into the truck. Grass. 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 Grass is very commonly found in front of people's houses when they live in the suburbs, so in the area outside of big cities in the USA. People like to take care of the grass in front of their house. You can also find wild grass, so it tends to not be so green. You might see wild grass in yellow or orange colors. The grasses that you see in front of people's homes in the US tends to be a green color. The green grass smells fresh. The green grass smells fresh. The green grass smells fresh. Soil. 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 Soil is what we use to put plants in that will help them grow. Soil has lots and lots of minerals and good things that are helpful for plants as they get bigger. The soil cracked due to the drought. The soil cracked due to the drought. The soil cracked due to the drought. Dirt. 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 So dirt and soil look very similar. The difference between dirt and soil is that soil has lots of minerals and things that are good for plants that helps them grow. Dirt, on the other hand, does not have minerals. It doesn't have all those things that are helpful for plants. The baby elephant is playing with dirt in a zoo. The baby elephant is playing with dirt in a zoo. The baby elephant is playing with dirt in a zoo. Rock. 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 A rock is a very small, hard object. We see rocks all over the place in nature. They can be small, as I described, but you might also see larger rocks too. So they're very hard to break and very dangerous if you throw them. The two crabs are walking on a rock. The two crabs are walking on a rock. The two crabs are walking on a rock. Tree. 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 A tree is a type of plant. A tree is generally quite tall, usually taller than people, and they can stretch to be extremely, extremely tall in forests, for example. He was reading a book under a tree. He was reading a book under a tree. He was reading a book under a tree. Taoism. 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 Taoism is a philosophy that began in China. A key focus of Taoism is living in harmony. Taoism is also known as Taoism. Taoism is also known as Taoism. Taoism is also known as Taoism. Bible. 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 A Bible is a book of sacred or holy texts important in the Christian religion. He reads the Bible. He reads the Bible. He reads the Bible. Quran. 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 Quran refers to the collection of sacred or holy texts important in the religion of Islam. The Quran is the holy book of the Muslim religion. The Quran is the holy book of the Muslim religion. The Quran is the holy book of the Muslim religion. Priest. 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 A priest is a religious leader in a community. Priest is used to refer to men. He got advice from a priest. He got advice from a priest. He got advice from a priest. Judaism. 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 Judaism is a religion connected to the culture, traditions, and history of the Jewish people. Judaism has been practiced for over 3,000 years. Judaism has been practiced for over 3,000 years. Judaism has been practiced for over 3,000 years. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. So 1,000 refers to 1,000 of something. There is only 1,000 yen in my wallet. There is only 1,000 yen in my wallet. There is only 1,000 yen in my wallet. 2,000. 2,000. 2,000. 2,000 refers to 2 1,000s of something. It costs $2,000. It costs $2,000. It costs $2,000. 8,000. 8,000. 8,000. 8,000 refers to 8 1,000s of something. When you pronounce this, the 8 and 1,000 sound like they connect a little bit. So not 8,000, but 8,000. 8,000 people live in that village. 8,000 people live in that village. 8,000 people live in that village. 10,000. 10,000. 10,000. 10,000 refers to 10,000s of something. They raised 10,000 euro for charity. They raised 10,000 euro for charity. They raised 10,000 euro for charity. 4,000. 4,000. 4,000. 4,000 refers to 4 1,000s of something. The stadium is 4,000 square meters. The stadium is 4,000 square meters. The stadium is 4,000 square meters. Landlord. 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 A landlord is the person who owns land, or a person who owns a building. If you rent a house or if you rent an apartment, you probably have to pay your rent to a landlord every month. My brother's landlord will not accept a check. My brother's landlord will not accept a check.
My brother's landlord will not accept a check. Dormitory. 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 A dormitory is a place where many people live together. Usually, students live in dormitories, especially their first or maybe second year of college. You may also see company dormitories for company staff. This word is long, so we often call them dorms. I lived in the dormitory for all 4 years of college. I lived in the dormitory for all 4 years of college. I lived in the dormitory for all 4 years of college. Apartment building. Apartment building. Apartment building. An apartment building is a building that's used just for apartments. So there's lots and lots of small houses inside an apartment building. This is different from a dormitory because a dormitory is usually a bunch of small rooms, just rooms together. Apartment buildings are composed of like small houses. You can find kitchens, living rooms, bathrooms, everything inside one apartment. There are 24 apartments in this apartment building. There are 24 apartments in this apartment building. There are 24 apartments in this apartment building. City. 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 A city is like a very big town. A city is a place with many people. It's very lively. There are lots of activities, lots of things to do. It can be noisy at times. So think of a city as something bigger and much more exciting, perhaps, than a town. He moved from the country to the city. He moved from the country to the city. He moved from the country to the city. Farm. 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 A farm is a place where food is grown. This can be vegetables, fruits. It can also be livestock. So livestock means, for example, cows, pigs, sheep, and so on. So a farm is a place where food comes from. The goats are playing on the farm. The goats are playing on the farm. The goats are playing on the farm. Tsunami. 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 A tsunami is like a very, very large, very fast-moving wave. A tsunami is a very, very dangerous natural occurrence. It can cause huge disasters in cities and towns. The tsunami hit the city. The tsunami hit the city. The tsunami hit the city. Avalanche. 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 An avalanche is another type of natural disaster. When a lot of snow becomes dislodged, meaning it gets moved from its original position high up in the mountains, and a lot of snow moves together, it can create a very, very large amount of snow that falls down a mountain very, very fast. This can be extremely dangerous if you're hiking or skiing or snowboarding. The avalanche destroyed the ski resort, but luckily nobody was hurt. The avalanche destroyed the ski resort, but luckily nobody was hurt. The avalanche destroyed the ski resort, but luckily nobody was hurt. Fire. 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 So there are many situations where we use the word fire. We can of course use it to talk about like the top of a candle, for example. But when we need to talk about a disaster or an emergency situation, we call it a fire. We use the article a Or we use the as well to talk about a specific disaster. When we talk about it to describe a disaster, it's typically a very large-scale fire, as in like a building fire or perhaps a fire at a store. The fire is burning. The fire is burning. The fire is burning. Earthquake. 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 An earthquake is another type of natural disaster. It may be helpful to break this word into two parts to understand the meaning. Earth refers to our planet, so the ground. Quake means to shake. So we can imagine this as together meaning ground and shake. So earthquake means shaking ground or the planet shaking in some way. Earthquakes can be very big or very small, so sometimes they can be very dangerous. Generally, they are fairly surprising. The earthquake is shaking the ground. The earthquake is shaking the ground. The earthquake is shaking the ground. Sandstorm. 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 So a sandstorm is a type of storm where instead of rain, or clouds or thunder and lightning in the air, there's sand that is moving around quickly, high speeds in the air. So a sandstorm can move up way, way, way high up in the air, and then it can fall to the ground, or it can touch down is what we call it. When a sandstorm moves from high up in the air to ground level, we call that touching down. This can be a very, very dangerous situation. The sandstorm has touched down. The sandstorm has touched down. The sandstorm has touched down. Glove. 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 A glove is an article of clothing. It's a piece of clothing. We wear gloves on our hands. A glove is different from a mitten, which you might know about, because a glove has space for individual fingers. There's a pocket for each finger with a glove. A mitten uses one pocket only for all of these fingers. I need new gloves for autumn. I need new gloves for autumn. I need new gloves for autumn. Umbrella. 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 An umbrella is something we use to protect ourselves from the rain. We can carry small folding umbrellas, or we can choose to use a larger umbrella. When we use an umbrella, we put it up above our heads to protect us from falling raindrops. I forgot my umbrella in the office. I forgot my umbrella in the office. I forgot my umbrella in the office. Hat. 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 So a hat is a type of clothing. We wear hats on our head. Hat is the most general type of hat. There are many different types of hat inside the category. You might see beanies, you might see baseball hats or baseball caps, you might see cowboy hats. There are many different types. We can understand all of these as hats. How much is this hat? How much is this hat? How much is this hat? Long-sleeved. 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 Long-sleeved is an adjective. We use long-sleeved to talk about the length of a sleeve on a shirt. Something that is long-sleeved goes until the wrist. This is what we consider long. And make sure you clearly pronounce that D sound at the end. So not long sleeve, but long-sleeved shirt. Long-sleeved shirts are good for cold weather. Long-sleeved shirts are good for cold weather. Long-sleeved shirts are good for cold weather. Short-sleeved. 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 So a short-sleeved shirt is the opposite of a long-sleeved shirt. If a long-sleeved shirt goes all the way to the wrist, a short-sleeved shirt generally ends about here. If you can imagine a t-shirt, that's a very good example of a short-sleeved shirt. Short-sleeved shirts are better when it's warm. Short-sleeved shirts are better when it is warm. Short-sleeved shirts are better when it is warm. Painful. 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 Painful is an adjective. We use painful to talk about things that hurt us, things that cause pain. This can refer to physical pain, something that causes us to feel unpleasant sensations in the body. We can also use this word to talk about things that are emotionally difficult. So something that is emotionally painful might be something that causes us to feel sad or angry, for example. A jellyfish sting is very painful. A jellyfish sting is very painful. A jellyfish sting is very painful. Shy. 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 Shy is an adjective that we use to talk about people. We might use it to talk about animals like pets from time to time too. Someone who is shy doesn't like to talk to other people, or maybe they feel nervous in social situations. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Nervous. 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 So nervous is an adjective, and we use nervous to describe our feelings, usually before we do something kind of exciting, like a performance, or maybe before we do something a little bit dangerous. So a key difference here, nervous versus shy. Someone who is shy, we use shy to talk about a person's personality trait. Nervous is used to talk about our feelings in a moment. So we could say, I feel nervous right now. But we would use shy to describe someone's personality. She is shy or he is shy. Nervous is temporary, hopefully. Speaking in public makes me nervous. Speaking in public makes me nervous. Speaking in public makes me nervous. Excited. 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 Excited is an adjective that we use to talk about feelings of happiness or feelings of enthusiasm. Again, this is an adjective we use to talk about a temporary situation. So we use excited to talk about something maybe we are looking forward to. The young scientist was excited. The young scientist was excited. The young scientist was excited. Embarrassed. 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 Embarrassed is an adjective we use to describe our feelings after something usually unpleasant happens to us. We've made a mistake in front of many people, for example, and we want to describe that feeling of shame. We can use embarrassed to do that. My face turns red when I'm embarrassed. My face turns red when I am embarrassed. My face turns red when I am embarrassed. Country. 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 The word country has a few different uses. So you probably know about country as in the place where you were born. You know, there are many different countries in the world. This use of country, however, refers to a place outside the city. You might know the word countryside to refer to some place out in nature. We often use country to make that word a little shorter in everyday conversation. They have a big house in the country. They have a big house in the country. They have a big house in the country. Village. 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 A village is like a very, very small town. There are not so many people and not so many buildings. It's a very small community of people. My grandfather lives in a small village. My grandfather lives in a small village. My grandfather lives in a small village. Town. 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 A town is a little bit larger than a village. There are more people, maybe there are more stores, restaurants perhaps, more activities, more things to do. Excuse me, where is the nearest town? Excuse me, where is the nearest town? Excuse me, where is the nearest town? Suburb. 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 A suburb is an area just outside a big city. So if you imagine a big city as being at the core of a circle, the suburb area is the area a little bit outside of that core city area. So the suburbs are generally considered good places to raise families because you have access to the big city, but there's a little more nature and they're generally safer places. I moved to the suburbs last year. I moved to the suburbs last year. I moved to the suburbs last year. Room. 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 So a room is a space inside a house or an apartment or other kind of living situation. We usually use the word room to talk about the place where you sleep. You may also see room at the end of other words to talk about the function of that room, like living room or dining room or bathroom. My room is small. My room is small. My room is small. Burn. 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 A burn is a type of injury. When we have a burn, it's usually very, very painful, kind of stings a little bit. It turns red and it can hurt to touch. A burn is caused by something very hot, like fire or perhaps touching a hot stove. My burn hurts a lot. My burn hurts a lot. My burn hurts a lot. Chess. 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 Chess is a very well-known board game. It's played between two people. Each player has a lot of pieces, and the goal of the game is to use your pieces to move into a position so that you're ready to take your opponent's king. Chess is a game of strategy and concentration. Chess is a game of strategy and concentration. Chess is a game of strategy and concentration. Language. 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 Language refers to vocabulary words, grammar rules, idioms, and so on. All of the things that work together that allow you to communicate with another person. Think in the language you want to learn. Think in the language you want to learn. Think in the language you want to learn. Blow dry. Blow dry. Blow dry. So to blow dry refers to using a drying machine of some kind, usually for hair, to cause something to become dry. I blow dry my hair every morning. I blow dry my hair every morning. I blow dry my hair every morning. Martial arts. Martial arts. Martial arts. Martial arts refers to methods of combat, so fighting with other people, and self-defense, so protecting yourself from attackers. In today's world, they can be used for fighting and for self-defense, but they are commonly practiced as sports. Do you like martial arts? Do you like martial arts? Do you like martial arts? Satisfied. 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 Satisfied is used to talk about being happy with the outcome of something. You can use this after a meal, after purchasing a product. After you have some kind of experience, you can describe a pleasant reaction to the experience with satisfied. I'm satisfied with the result. I'm satisfied with the result. I'm satisfied with the result. Calm. 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 Calm is an adjective we can use to talk about people and that we can use to talk about environments like the weather or nature. So when something is calm or when a person is calm, it is undisturbed. So someone who is calm doesn't get angry or upset easily. When we want to describe an environment that is calm, it's the same idea. So it's not turbulent. There are not lots of waves or not lots of wind. Everything is very still. The ocean is calm. The ocean is calm. The ocean is calm. Comb. 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 Comb can be used as a noun or as a verb. As a verb, it means the action of using a comb to remove something from hair or to straighten hair. I comb my dog every day. I comb my dog every day. I comb my dog every day. Gargle. 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 So gargle, this is a verb. We use it to describe the health practice of taking water or another liquid into your mouth and kind of using your throat muscles to mix that around in your mouth, maybe to clear out bacteria or to clear out germs. So typically we do not swallow or take that liquid into our body. We usually spit it out. This is called gargling. I gargle several times a day. I gargle several times a day. I gargle several times a day. Dissatisfied. 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 Dissatisfied is used to describe an unhappy feeling at the outcome of something. So after a meal that's not good, or if we buy a product that's not very good, we can describe our feelings, our unhappy feelings, with the word dissatisfied. The man is dissatisfied with the product. The man is dissatisfied with the product. The man is dissatisfied with the product. 5,000. 5,000. 5,000. 5,000 refers to 5 thousands of something. Remember, when you use the word thousand as a counter word, simply put the basic form of the number before the word thousand. You don't need to make any changes to that number word. 5,000 people were protesting on the square. 5,000 people were protesting on the square. 5,000 people were protesting on the square. 3,000. 3,000. 3,000. So 3,000 refers to 3 thousands of something. Again, before using the word thousand, simply use the basic number word. In Peru, more than 3,000 types of potatoes exist. In Peru, more than 3,000 types of potatoes exist. In Peru, more than 3,000 types of potatoes exist. 6,000. 6,000. 6,000. 6,000 refers to 6 1,000ths of something. There are around 6,000 islands in Greece. There are around 6,000 islands in Greece. There are around 6,000 islands in Greece. 7,000. 7,000. 7,000. 7,000 refers to 7 1,000s of something. She sold 7,000 albums. She sold 7,000 albums. She sold 7,000 albums. 9,000. 9,000. 9,000. 9,000 refers to 9 1,000s of something. 9,000 troops withdrew from the country. 9,000 troops withdrew from the country. 9,000 troops withdrew from the country. Rose. 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 A rose is a very common and very popular flower. It's very commonly associated with romance. It's given as a romantic gift or sometimes just as a friendly gift. I was given a white rose. I was given a white rose. I was given a white rose. Flower. 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 A flower is a plant that has a generally very colorful and often good-smelling part. Many people like to pick flowers and give them as gifts to others. There are many types of flowers in the park. There are many types of flowers in the park. There are many types of flowers in the park. Lily. 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 A lily is one type of flower. Generally, lilies are white. They might look very, very pure and have kind of a peaceful appearance about them. She bought some lilies on her way home. She bought some lilies on her way home. She bought some lilies on her way home. Sunflower. 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 A sunflower is a very bright flower. It's generally yellow or orange, and many people think of sunflowers as being very cheerful. The field is full of sunflowers. The field is full of sunflowers. The field is full of sunflowers. Dandelion. 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 A dandelion is a small, bright yellow flower. Lots of people think of this as kind of a nuisance, as a pest flower, because it's very, very easy for a dandelion to grow anywhere. Lots of people like to blow on dandelions and make wishes as they do. Dandelions are eaten in soups and salads in some places. Dandelions are eaten in soups and salads in some places. Dandelions are eaten in soups and salads in some places. Traveling. 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 Traveling simply means moving from one place to another. When we talk about traveling, we sometimes are talking about traveling for business, going someplace for business, though we can also use it to talk about vacation for fun. Traveling requires a lot of preparation. Traveling requires a lot of preparation. Traveling requires a lot of preparation. Exercising. 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 Exercising refers to moving the body, like running or jogging or doing yoga. We do some kind of physical motion to improve our health or to keep our body in good shape. The woman is exercising on the floor. The woman is exercising on the floor. The woman is exercising on the floor. Workout. Workout. Work out. So a workout refers to an exercise routine, like your exercise plan for a day or a session or a month, for example. A 30-minute workout every day can improve your health. A 30-minute workout every day can improve your health. A 30-minute workout every day can improve your health. Reading. 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 Reading is the simple act of looking at words on a page and taking them into your mind. So reading is a very, very common hobby. Many people love reading, whether it's books or newspapers or magazines. I really like reading books. I really like reading books. I really like reading books. Playing cards. Playing cards. Playing cards. Playing cards, used as a noun, refers to what's called a deck of cards, where we have numbers from ace through 2 to 10 included, and then we have a jack, a queen, and a king. So a set of these is called playing cards. Those are called playing cards. When we use these to play a game, we use the expression to play cards. For example, we often play cards on a warm summer evening. We often play cards on a warm summer evening. We often play cards on a warm summer evening. Earring. 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 An earring is a type of jewelry. We wear earrings in our ears. Many people have places for earrings at the base of their ears, though you can also wear them up at the top of the ear. A good way to remember earring is to break the word into two parts, ear and ring. This can help you to remember it's a ring, though not always in a ring shape, that goes in your ear. Big earrings are fashionable. Big earrings are fashionable. Big earrings are fashionable. Necklace. 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 A necklace is another type of jewelry. We wear a necklace around our neck. So again, we can break this word into two parts to help us remember the word. Neck is the first part and lace is the second part. So today, although we don't usually wear lace around our neck as jewelry, it's still a type of decoration. So this can help us to connect the meaning with the word in our mind. How much is that diamond necklace? How much is that diamond necklace? How much is that diamond necklace? Ring. 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 A ring is a type of jewelry that we wear on the finger. Men and women wear rings very, very commonly. The jeweler showed me a beautiful ring. The jeweler showed me a beautiful ring. The jeweler showed me a beautiful ring. Boxer shorts. Boxer shorts. Boxer shorts. Boxer shorts are a very common type of underwear. Typically, men wear them, but really anybody can wear them if they decide to. Boxer shorts are an undergarment for men. Boxer shorts are an undergarment for men. Boxer shorts are an undergarment for men. Skirt. 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 A skirt is a type of clothing. We wear skirts from the waist down. They can be very short skirts or very long skirts. Many women like to wear skirts, but these days anyone can wear whatever they like. She is wearing a yellow skirt. She is wearing a yellow skirt. She is wearing a yellow skirt. Hamburger. 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 A hamburger is a very, very popular type of food. A hamburger, in the most basic sense of the word, is a patty, so a piece of meat, usually made of beef, though sometimes of pork, and it is between two pieces of bread. This is a hamburger. I have just ordered a hamburger. I have just ordered a hamburger. I have just ordered a hamburger. Cheeseburger. 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 A cheeseburger is just like a hamburger. So a hamburger is a piece of grilled meat and it's between two pieces of bread. A cheeseburger is different because we put cheese on top of the meat between the pieces of bread. A cheeseburger is a hamburger with a slice of cheese. A cheeseburger is a hamburger with a slice of cheese. A cheeseburger is a hamburger with a slice of cheese. Pizza. 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 Pizza is a very common and very popular food all around the world. Pizza, very simply, is a large piece of bread that we call crust. It's very, very thin bread, and there's typically a sauce on top, in addition to meats, cheeses, vegetables, whatever you like. Pizza is an Italian dish, but it is a popular dish around the world. Pizza is an Italian dish, but it is a popular dish around the world. Pizza is an Italian dish, but it is a popular dish around the world. Hot dog. Hot dog. Hot dog. A hot dog is a food that's very commonly eaten at sporting events in the USA and in other countries as well. A hot dog is a piece of meat, usually a type of pork, that is quite long, and it's inside two pieces of bread. Usually as toppings, we have mustard or ketchup or maybe other things as well. I prefer hot dogs at a BBQ. I prefer hot dogs at a BBQ. I prefer hot dogs at a BBQ. Tip. 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 A tip is something that you might not have in your country. It's like an extra amount we pay after a service situation. So typically, when you go to a cafe or to a restaurant in the USA or in some other countries, after your meal, after you have your experience there, it's common to leave what's called a tip. So it's extra money that you give to the server at that place to thank them for their service. Do not forget to leave a tip for the waiter or waitress. Do not forget to leave a tip for the waiter or waitress. Do not forget to leave a tip for the waiter or waitress.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, study tools, and resources. By the way, all the lessons and bonuses you're about to see can be downloaded for free on our website. So click the link in the description right now to sign up for your free lifetime account. Okay, today's topic is how to boost your motivation and learn more by adding others to the mix. If you're learning a language all by yourself, then you should know that there's a way to boost your chance of success, boost your motivation, your progress. It's simply by including other people in your language learning journey. And in today's episode, you'll discover 1. How adding a human dynamic boosts your motivation, and 2. How you can apply this tactic to your language learning. But first, here are this month's new lessons and resources. Be sure to download these now before we take them down in a few days. First, the Making Movies Conversation Cheat Sheet. With this new cheat sheet, you'll learn words like actor, screenwriter, director, and much more. Download it for free on the inside. Second, the 400 Everyday Phrases for Beginners ebook. This bonus ebook will teach you over 400 words and phrases related to daily activities like waking up, making breakfast, going to work or school, and more. Third, can you talk about fishing in your target language? Learn how to say words like fishing rod, bait, and fishing net with this quick vocab bonus. Fourth, must-know online shopping vocabulary. If you like shopping, then you'll want to be able to talk about it in your target language. With this 1-minute lesson, you'll learn must-know words like sale, add to cart, and much more. To get your free resources, click the link in the description below right now. They're yours to keep forever. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. How to boost your motivation and learn more by adding others to the mix. Part 1. How adding a human dynamic boosts your motivation. So first, here's a question for you. How do you think most people start learning a language? Leave a comment. Most people start learning by themselves. They'll either watch YouTube videos like this, download an app, or if they're a little more serious, buy a textbook. But after the first week or month, most self-learners also end up falling off because of a lack of motivation. It's pretty hard to motivate yourself and keep yourself going. It's hard because you have to, 1, rely on yourself to motivate yourself, 2, do the learning, and 3, do the practice. All of this is a lot of work for one person. Sure, there's a small group of super self-motivated people out there that can do it and stick with it, but that's not the case for most of us. So then, if you want to boost your motivation and not have to rely on yourself, that's where you should start getting other people involved in your language learning journey. Just picture a graph where on the y-axis you have motivation, and on the x-axis you have the chance of success. So first you have self-study, and that's probably closest to lower motivation and probably a low chance of succeeding. As you move further to the right, where you start involving tutors or joining group classes, the higher your motivation and chance of success becomes. Does this mean motivation is lowest when you're on your own? Yes and no. There are people who are very motivated on their own, but motivation tends to come and go for many of us. And the last thing you want to do is rely on a feeling that may not always be there. But when you start including more personal connections, live interactions, maybe someone you speak with at a cafe, you have more reasons and more pressure to keep on going. For example, if you have a tutor that expects you to do homework and come prepared next time, if you have a language partner whom you want to impress, or if you're in a language class, you want to be better than other students. The point is, the more people you involve, the more anchor points and commitments you have to the language, and these boost your motivation. In psychology, this is called social facilitation, or the audience effect. When you're with other people, or when you think someone is watching you, you put a little pressure on yourself. And for many people, this can have a positive result. But if you're on your own, you wouldn't try so hard. So just to recap, a lot of us start learning on our own. And in the case of language learning, there will always be self-study involved. But if you want to take it to the next level, then you should follow that graph. The only issue is, the more you go up that graph, the more expensive it gets. It's very affordable to learn on your own. Once you start involving others, such as a teacher, it starts getting expensive. So it's up to you as the learner here. So, if you're interested in adding a human dynamic, what can you do? Part 2. How you can apply this to your language learning. 1. Give our Premium Plus plan a try and get access to your own teacher. You also get weekly assignments from your teacher, which adds a nice layer of accountability to your learning. 2. Enroll in an online class. And this is something we've started offering for a few of our major languages: Japanese, English, Chinese, Italian, Korean, French, and Spanish. 3. Get an online or in-person tutor. Now, teachers and classes can be pricey, but there are other ways to learn with others. 4. Get a study buddy or join a learning community. Learning and competing with others will definitely have a positive impact on your motivation and language progress. 5. Simply talk with others about your language goals and your current progress. When you're surrounded by people talking about how much they've learned or what goals they hit or missed, you'll be more inspired to hit your own goals. 6. Track your progress and share it on your social media for others to see. For example, if you keep a daily planner, write in, "I did 3 lessons today," or "spent 30 minutes on learning a language," and share that. Once you start involving more people in your language journey, whether for learning or for practice, adding that extra human element will boost your productivity and motivation and help you reach your language goals. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about how to learn a new language in the new year. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! Since you're learning the language and coming across new words all the time, do you have trouble remembering new words? If you do, then there's a proven and powerful learning method that'll help you learn new words and phrases fast. easily remember the tough words you struggle with, and get you fluent sooner than later. In fact, all serious language learners use this learning method in one form or another. And the good news is, you can do this all with our flashcards inside of our learning program. But first, if you don't yet have access to our language learning program, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. Now, how do flashcards help you learn words and phrases faster? These flashcards use something called spaced repetition learning, which is a science-backed learning method that spaces out your learning over time and quizzes you on words at the right times so that you never forget them. Here's how the flashcards work. Once you start learning, they start tracking your progress and sort your cards for you. So the tough words that you struggle with, you'll see them more often in a study session. And the easy words that you get right, they'll start getting spaced out. You'll see them again in 2 days, then 5 days, then 13 days, and so on. At which point, these words will start going into your long-term memory, and you'll never forget them. Once you're done with a study session, that's it for the day. Your flashcards will remind you when to study again, so you never forget what you learned last time. So here's how you take advantage of this powerful study tool. Simply access flashcards in the vocabulary drop-down menu on the site. Inside, you already have the 100 must-know words deck prepared for you. Just click on Study and Start Session to start learning. You'll see a flashcard with the word in the target language. Do you know the meaning? Click on Show Answer to confirm the meaning. Then, mark it as correct or incorrect. Based on your answer, the flashcards will start sorting and spacing out the words for you. Then, move on to the next card in the deck until you're done with the session. You can study with 3 modes. Recognition. Get the word in the target language and see if you know the meaning. Production. Get the meaning and see if you know it in the target language. Or listening. Hear the word or phrase and see if you know the meaning. Choose 1, 2, or all 3 modes of learning. You can create flashcard decks from key phrases presented in lessons, the 2000 core word list, words saved in your word bank, and our free vocab lists. Want to see how many words and phrases you've mastered? Visit My Stats for your daily, weekly, and monthly progress breakdown to see your personal study stats. So take advantage of the smart flashcards right now. The top 100 must-know words deck is already ready and waiting for you. But if you don't yet have access, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. If you want to learn your target language with our learning program, and if you're wondering which plan to choose, then today you'll discover how our premium plan helps you master the language with one clear learning pathway to follow, which makes sticking with learning easier than ever. Special lessons that get you speaking and understanding conversations in minutes from beginner to advanced, and over 15 study tools that will lock the language into your brain. But first, if you don't have access to our language learning program, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. Now, how does the premium plan help you learn a language faster? 1. You get one simple learning pathway of lessons to follow. If you've always felt that language learning is overwhelming because there's so much to do, reading, writing, speaking, listening, and vocabulary, and there's no clear path to take, well, you're not wrong. So that's exactly why you get one learning pathway with our program. The learning pathway is simply a pathway of lessons for you to take. Meaning you now have a clear path to follow, instead of wondering about how you should learn the language or what to do next. Just follow the pathway, take the lessons, and complete the assessments from lesson 1 to 2 to 3, and from the absolute beginner level up to advanced. Now let's talk about the lessons themselves. Second, you'll learn the language fast with audio and video lessons, which means you won't be reading walls of text here. Our audio and video lessons are easy to finish and allow you to absorb the language as you listen or watch. Plus, you get exposed to native speech, something you won't get in textbooks. So press play on a lesson. You'll learn a practical conversation, get every word and grammar rule explained by our teachers, and start speaking in minutes. All of this takes minutes because lessons are just a few minutes long, so you can learn fast and in small blocks of time, whether on your computer or with our app if you're on the go.
The lessons alone are enough to get you speaking, but to make sure you practice and retain the language, you can use our study tools. Third, you get 15 plus premium study tools that lock the language into your memory and help you learn faster. Here's a small taste of what you can do. You can practice speaking and perfect your pronunciation with the voice recorder. Reach conversational fluency with our 2,000 most common words list. Master words and phrases fast with our spaced repetition flashcards. Read along with the lesson notes to help the grammar rules sink in faster. Understand everything instantly with the translations. Sharpen your listening skills with the line-by-line audio for each lesson. Immerse yourself in native conversations with the dialogue tracks. Test yourself on what you've learned with assessments, and much more. So if you want to learn your target language, and if you don't have access to our learning program, then sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account, and you'll get a free 7-day trial to our premium plan.